Hello, this just in, folks. Solana has kicked out several validators. Well, they're not getting kicked out. They are just not going to receive the foundation's funds anymore, and that might be a devastating roundhouse kick to the face to them because it cost about $65,000 per year to run a Solana validator. So without that subsidy, they may not be able to run. We have to mention that to run an Ethereum validator, you need 32,000 Ethereum, which is about twice that much right now. But the reason they've been kicked out is because they've been running what are generally frowned upon MEV bots. And that actually takes advantage of other validators and other people using the chain, driving up transaction costs for those people, and a lot of times bogging down the chain. Now, it's worth to mention that Solana validators natively should not actually be able to run these things, these kind of bots, these kind of MVV bots that they're actually running. But these guys have actually installed mods on their validators in order to basically run these MEV bots, these type of MEV bots, to extract maximum value with arbitrage, liquidations, and such. Against regular users and other validators. So the organization used its supreme commander powers. They didn't really kick them out. They just were like, hey, we're not giving you money anymore. And a lot of validators are actually subsidized by the Solana Foundation. Solana validator fees, the ones they collect, have gone drastically up. But I'm not really sure if these guys can support themselves without the subsidization from the foundation. Now, this has drawn criticism from Ethereum saying that, Solana is centralized. The foundation is basically using its centralized authority to kick these validators out of the system because they were doing something that the foundation doesn't like. Now, I have thoughts about that because they didn't actually kick them out of the system. In fact, they can still validate. Their validators, it's not like they don't work. They still work. They're just not getting money to run them from the Solana Foundation. The foundation itself is not decentralized. It's a foundation. It's run by foundation managers and stuff. The network itself, anyone can run a node. It just costs money to run it. It's kind of like the Ripple thing. It actually costs money to run the Ripple validators, just like it costs a lot of money to run the Solana validators at about $65,000 a year. And you may not be able to run them without it. So this is more of a fee of, it's more of a financial burden if the Solana Foundation doesn't support you. But the foundation doesn't really have any real, let's say, obligation to support you, especially if you're doing things they don't like. They're not forbidding you from doing it. They're just saying, we're not going to support you financially if you do it, and you're going to have to financially support yourself. Now, eventually, I think all the validators are going to have to financially support themselves anyways, but many validators are actually not ready for it. Obviously, Ethereum has a lot of trouble with MVV bots, and this is something that they can't actually solve all that easily. Obviously, with the financial grips, if the validator fees do not pay for the validators, obviously those using MVVs will not be able to survive, and you'll get left with validators that don't run these, kind of malicious programs that take advantage of other users and other validators that don't run mods on their validator. So the thing is, is this the end of these kind of malicious MVV bots on Solana? I don't know. We'll have to see about the profitability of these things. But if it's not, and it's actually profitable to run these things, even without the incentives, then Solana might actually have some performance issues, or they might actually get expensive, so people won't want to use it because, with all these meme coins and stuff, they rely on small fees, and they might eventually go to Base or other chains. I think they should just make a chain that just doesn't allow things like mods or MVV bots and see how that works. I think a lot of retail users would actually use it without these things because MVV bots are like a plague onto humanity when it comes to trading. They're maximum extractable value bots, by the way, and they basically look for opportunities in either arbitrage, liquidations, or difference in prices and extract the maximum amount of them, but it does result in a high price for other users for their own benefit. So I am not shedding a tear for the MEV bots. I'm okay with what Solana's doing. Can you say they're centralized? Sort of, but not really if you really look at it, because it's not like they're not allowing the validators to operate. You can still operate as a validator. You just can't receive funds from the Solana Foundation if you're doing something that they don't like. They will allow you to do it on their chain. They're not stopping you from doing that. They're just not going to pay you to do it on their chain. So, I actually don't have too much of a problem with this. You could say they're exercising that financial power. Sure. It's just like decentralized elections. Certain groups can actually, influence the elections, donating a lot of money. In this case, they're just not going to give you any money if you do something they don't like, but they won't stop you from doing it. So I wouldn't actually call it decentralized. And I think Ethereum knows that, like, on their chain, they have problems with this too. And I'm not really sure if they can solve it this way or not. Base doesn't really seem to have these problems. So if this really catches on, people might switch to Base. But I think most users won't really care that Solana is destroying the MEV bots. In fact, most of them are probably celebrating this particular measure. If I was a Solana user, I would actually be happy about this. Now, if they just kicked all the validators out that were using these bots and not let them operate on the network, that would be a different story. But just kind of like cutting off funding from the foundation, which is not centralized by the ways, which is not decentralized by the ways, and never was, I think is actually okay, as long as you allow them to actually do these things if they're able to support themselves. The foundation, once again, has no obligation to fund malicious actors to do their malicious activities, but they do have an obligation to let these activities happen on the chain. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.